everybody. I'm so glad you came today. You can clap if you want to. I appreciate it. Here in Hartwick, New York, I appreciate you guys having me. I'm still crossing the state as I've done so many times before. For those of you who don't know, I've crossed the state 4 times already. Every year since 2018, I cross the state. I stop in every county and I talk to people and I figure out what is going on in New York State. I talk a lot about the idea of New York being a diverse state. You know all the time, diversity, diversity, diversity. Love that idea. Diversity is awesome. So then why do we constantly have a one-size-fits-all answer for the entire state? What a terrible idea. If we actually believe in diversity, and I hope we do, then why don't we let local counties be local counties? Don't let local people be local people. There are so many people who are upset. Well, Albany runs this state. New York City runs this state. Well, what if we were able to instead allow local counties to have far more control over what they're doing, where their money's going, and who they're spending their time and money with, that you wouldn't care whether Albany does something or New York City does something because it wouldn't be affecting you. Wouldn't that be better? Yeah? That's what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about allowing people to have more control over their own lives. You might say, Larry, that sounds great. It does sound great. That's true. But what the COVID lockdown showed us, particularly in cities, but all over, is there's a whole lot of communities right now who don't have the institutional knowledge anymore, don't know how to help themselves. They've been taken care of by government for so long, they don't know how to handle it themselves now. We found that in many communities. Whenever you add government, by default, you remove community. That's how it works. So we've got to add community so we can remove government. And I speak about that constantly. And I really want counties to have more power over their own world. Why? One of the reasons, corruption. You might say, Larry, you're going to stop corruption in New York State? I wish I had that power. I would. I would snap my magic fingers and I would do it. But here's what I can do. I can make an environment where there's less corruption. Yeah, I can. What's one of the most easiest ways you can do that? Less money going to Albany. When all the money's running to Albany, shipping to Albany as fast as possible can go, you've got $50 to $60 billion in any given industry going up into Albany. Well, that's a real easy grift. I just got to take 1 or 2 of my thugs, send them up to Albany, and then they win. They get $50 billion. That's a great deal. Why wouldn't I do that? That's a good grift. But what if instead each county had a lot more of its own money, a lot more of its own power? Now I got 62 different counties, each one with maybe $1 billion or so, or maybe less, half a million county, X amount of money, whatever that is. Now I got to send 62 goons out to 62 different counties to bully 62 different groups of people to get my grift, which doesn't pay off as much anymore. It's not an easy grift. It changes. That's the most important piece. But people will tell me, Larry, that sounds great. But man, these counties, they might make mistakes. That's true. We're humans. We make mistakes. But if a county makes an error or a mistake, the people who are affected are the people in that county, not 18 million New Yorkers. When our governor, our former king and now queen, when they make their edicts, they affect 18 million New Yorkers. If someone makes a mistake locally, it affects that county, and that's bad. But as long as they're transparent, other counties see it and can learn from it. When a state makes a mistake, what happens? They raise taxes. They raise taxes. They don't even admit a mistake. They go, it wasn't funded enough. That's correct. If you're a Republican, you use the word invest. If you're a Democrat, you use the word fund. But it's the same thing, more taxes and fees. You just say it nicer, depending upon what audience you're talking to. That's not the right answer. I'm gonna tell you something very important. I have 4 important issues that I always cover for every single policy I ever come up with. Those of you who paid attention to me, you know I have a policy for everything. I'm one of the rare candidates who will actually answer your question with an actual answer. And there are 4 important things I never change. 1, never a new tax, fine, or fee. Never. No exception, never. 2, no force. You're never forced to do what I tell you to do ever. I'll give you my opinion all day long, lots of them. And if you want to accept my opinion, awesome, please do so. If you don't, that's okay too. 3, whenever I try to help any people, I'm always trying to help 2 types of people. Number 1, I'm going to focus on two types, the working poor and the middle class. I'm going to focus on those 2. Why not focus on the wealthy or the very poor? The wealthy are fine, they're wealthy. I don't have to focus on them. They'll get benefit anyway. We'll be fine. Wealthy will be fine. And the very poor. Who helps the very poor? The working poor and the middle class. That's correct. They're the ones who show up in the soup kitchens. They're the ones who give. They're the ones who actually help. They're the ones who actually do it. So if I support those 2, I by default support the very poor. 4th, whenever I'm trying to work on business, I always support the entrepreneur class over the corporate class. Why? Because the entrepreneur class, they care about local. Corporate does not. Corporate always cares about global and big picture, but entrepreneurs care about local. Entrepreneurs are also the ones who make us all go up and down in our social status. They're the ones who make that happen. Entrepreneurs are the ones who actually help the poor. Not just that, entrepreneurs help people who need a second chance. You know someone in your life who's fallen down, someone who's maybe got a criminal record, someone who's maybe been an addict, someone who had trouble once they got out of the military. They got a problem. Who's going to give them a second chance? Some big corporation? No. They have policies to weed those people out. They're purposely weeding those people out. Who's going to give someone a chance? The small business owner. I was just at an event this morning talking to a woman who owns a small restaurant. And I said, have you ever hired a convicted felon? She said, yeah, many times. I know, because that's what happens. When you want people to get a second chance, it's the entrepreneurs who will do that. If you focus on those 4 pieces, you have better policies. You might go, well, Larry, I've been a Democrat or I've been a Republican, and my guy's come up with all kind of policies. No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. Here's what your guy has told you. I don't care, or your gal, what they told you. I don't care what party you believe in. Here's what they told you. How are you going to help education? We're going to support them by caring and supporting. Awesome. How? By supporting and caring. How? By giving them all they need. Great. How? Well, the other guy's worse. Well, the other guy's bad. Well, that guy's terrible. If I'm talking to Democrats, that guy's evil orange Trump guy. If I'm talking to Republicans, that guy's a socialist. That's all I say. But how are you going to do it? Well, it falls back to either fund or invest. There are 4 things that government does well. 4 does very well. And it will always fall back to that. And every single policy you've heard from every politician, exception of me, always has one of these 4 or a combination. 1, kill people. Government will bomb people all day long. Good at it. Bomb them all day long. Does it do all the time. Right? Bomb people all day long. No worries. Do that well. Number 2, imprison people. Man, we're good at that too. Imprison them all day long. We'll create wars on this, wars on that, wars on the other. We'll imprison war on terror. We'll create Gitmo. We'll arrest all kind of people. Good at that. 3, create unnecessary check boxes. Oh my God, will we do that? If you ever say to yourself, man, I'm far too efficient. Don't worry, government's got you covered. I will make sure you'll check all kind of boxes and you will not be efficient ever again. I'll make sure of that. And 4, write checks. What do we write checks? We write checks all the time. Better than banks, literally better than banks. We write checks well. So every time there's a problem, you can guarantee they'll either bomb somebody, make a law to imprison somebody, create regulation to save people, or write you a check. We saw it during COVID, didn't we? We see it all the time. Those are the 4 things they do. Well, Larry, you're so damn smart, and I am, by the way, and good looking, and modest, all of those things. So what were you going to do about COVID? For those of you who don't know, I tell you, I actually put a video out, 6 videos out, in March of 2020, a year and a half ago, with what I would have done with COVID. I actually said it, and I'm happy. Looking back now, there were things I didn't know, and it was still better than what we did. And one thing I did not want to do is put people into old folks' homes and kill them. That I was not about. That was not part of my plan, right? The first thing I said is I wanted to literally, within our state, in February or March of 2020, rescind all distillery laws so that people can make hand sanitizer if they want to, allowing nonprofits to make them and sell them if they want to with no sales tax. Why would I say no sales tax? Those of you who know, sales tax is bureaucracy. It takes time to make that happen, slows things down. If you're a nonprofit, just do it. Imagine if all of a sudden our VFWs, American Legion, Knights of Columbus, local churches, particularly in urban communities, local Black churches. Imagine if these churches could all of a sudden have done that and made money. What would have happened? Most people wouldn't have done much, but some would have. And those who started would make people thinking about their own health. And that's what I want. I want you thinking about your own health. That's what matters. Second, I would have done something else. I would have rescinded all Department of Building rules and regulations that stop people from sleeping in common areas of places like that. In certain cities, in certain towns, you can't set up cots in your local VFW, in your local American Legion. You can't do it. People sit there scared. You know that, right? You can't do it. I rescinded that. Why? Because we knew already when it first came out, the people who might be affected most by this were people who were older and people who had pre-existing conditions. Well, what if you're not that and you want to work, but you have people at home who might be affected by that? Great, go to work, sleep at the VFW. Go to work, sleep at the church. Go to work, sleep at your local community. What am I doing? I'm adding community. What I just talked about. You begin to add community, you begin to remove government. Community begins to step up. Thank you. He says, yes, he knows. Absolutely. Community begins to step up, right? But I'm still not done. I spoke about those things, just getting us thinking. Then I said, let's use government for what it can do relatively well, which is be a central repository for information. So what would I have done? I would have said, here is what we know now about the disease. Here's what we know now about the CDC. Here's what we believe is correct. Here's what we know now about masks. Here's what we believe to be true. Here's what we believe right here. And here is what others believe. And you see it now. Any of you heard about the Well Health Seal? Have you heard about that? That is a private company that does their own stamp that says, here's what we believe is correct with your organization, your retail organization. They put a stamp on your business if you want to. I would have allowed other people to put what they think is correct on my government website. Why? When government says, I know best, you don't believe them. I know that because I didn't. You're asking for people to not believe you when you tell them, I'm the only one who knows everything. And our current governor, she knows what God thinks. You heard that one, right? Our current governor, she knows what God thinks. I didn't realize she had a direct line to God. I didn't know that. We are very lucky to have Her Majesty, I guess. She actually said, some of you may remember this, she actually said that God made the vaccine and that God wants you to get the vaccine. If you don't get the vaccine, you're not doing what God wants. I'm not making this up. You guys know she said that. Yes, she actually said that. You saw it. Absolutely. Here's what I'm sure of. I don't speak for God. That I'm sure of. Right? That I got down. I don't speak for God. I don't do that. Right? So I would put down what I thought was correct, what others thought were correct. Then I send out my inspectors, not to punish small business, which is what we did. We came by and we punished small business. You didn't do what we say, shut you down, take your liquor license, crush you, fine you, devastate you. I just would have sent out my people, and if you followed my rules that I thought were correct, I give you a stamp. Otherwise, I'll walk away. And I allow the community to decide, do they care about that stamp or not? If communities care about that stamp, well, then you better get that stamp. They're your people, your customers. Your customers tell you what you should be doing. If your customers say get that stamp, you better get that stamp. If your customers don't care, your customers don't care. I don't have to shut down anybody's business. Your customers would or wouldn't. And I'm okay with that. If your customers shut you down, I'm okay with that. I don't mean to be mean, but you're not doing what your customers want, you get shut down. I'm fine with that. I'm not fine with me shutting you down. I don't get to shut you down. Yes. What you will see me talk about constantly, and so many people who are libertarians like I am, we are about consent. All about consent. You know what's going on, you're informed, do what you think is right for you and your family and friends. We're good with that. We're good with that. If you want to get the vaccine, if you want to wear 5 masks, awesome, go ahead. Up to you. Do what you think is right for your individual health. People say, Larry, are you anti-mask, anti-vax? I am not. I am pro-consent. That is what I'm about. That's it. Pro-consent. You do what you think is right for your family, for your health. If that's getting a vaccine, awesome on you. If that's not, also awesome on you. Whatever you feel is appropriate in your life. That's what matters. What we've forgotten is our country was built on an important idea: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Our divorce papers from the UK, our founding document said pursuit of happiness. Where's that now? Nowhere. You don't know. I don't know either. It's nowhere. It's nowhere. I want you to do what you think is right. And that's what I talk about constantly. What would I have done with the vaccine? I would not have had government been involved at all. No need. No need. There are 5,000 or more pharmacies in New York State. 5,000. No one in the state, unless you're I don't know, in the mountains or something, hiking in the mountains. No one's more than 45 minutes to an hour from any CVS or Rite Aid or something like that. So allow everyone who wants the vaccine, deliver it to the pharmacies. Now it's there. They know their people. They're giving you medicine already. That you're a pharmacy. They know who comes by for the flu shot. They know who comes by for whatever. You give them the vaccine and say, it's there. Guys, if you want it, go get it. I'm done. I'm done. That's it. I allow you to get it if you want it. You don't want it? Okay. If you do want it, it's there for you. Awesome. Life is good. That's what our governor should have done. That's what we should have done. And then everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. But I'm actually still not done. I actually would have gone one step further. I would have rescinded all rules on 3D printing. So that if you wanted to make, I don't know, a ventilator, or if you wanted to make testing, you could have made it in our state. You could have built the ventilators and testing in our state. We found out late that our testing didn't work. Remember that? We found out late it didn't work. COVID was a disaster because we screwed up trying centralized control. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of all the time centralized control has worked. Finished. Yes. Does not work. Fails constantly, again and again and again. Fails constantly. The answer should have been, let people who want to try to make tests make them. What would we have found out? By March, we would have found out which ones work and which ones don't work. But not just that. Individuals could have done their own testing in their home if they want to. Maybe you don't care. Okay, you don't care. Fine. Maybe you really care. Awesome. Go get a test and test yourself. Who am I to decide? The most important thing I bring up constantly is you own your own life. You own your own life, not me. I don't own your life. You own it. Both of my parents passed away of cancer. When my father passed away, he was younger. And he was all about quantity of life. He was like, keep me alive, cut me open, give me chemo. I don't care. I want to live. When my mother passed away, she was older. And I'd already had my first daughter. She was very close to my first daughter, her granddaughter. And when she was ill with cancer, she said, no. I want quality of life. I want to spend time with my granddaughter. Don't knock me up. Don't take me down. If I die early, I die early. I want time with my granddaughter. That's what my mom said when she was dying. In fact, she was on chemo and she took my daughter out to an amusement park. The doctor said, you go to an amusement park, if you catch something, your immune system's shot. You might die. My mom said, if I die spending time with my daughter, I'm okay with that. The question is, which one is right, quality or quantity? And the answer is both. It's up to you, both. It's up to you, both. Up to you. You decide. I don't. That's the issue. I don't decide. I have two people who are elderly in my family, both over 80, both with pre-existing conditions, both practicing Greek Orthodox. I'm part of Greek Orthodox Church, and they are also. And they're practicing. They go every Sunday, right? They want to go. So I told them what I thought. I give my opinion. I said, I don't think you should go to church. You're both in your 80s. You both have pre-existing conditions. One was actually on chemo. And I said, I think you shouldn't go. Now, would I have taken them if they had asked me? Yes, I would have. Because I get to say my opinion. I do. I just don't get to force you. I'll give you my opinion all day long. I'll tell you what I think. I think people I loved over 85 with pre-existing conditions should not go to church. That's what I think. But if you want to sacrifice your life for your faith, You can. You can. We have a First Amendment that isn't just freedom of speech. It's also freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom to get together in assembly, freedom of all those things. And sadly, I realized that, years ago, I realized the Second Amendment in New York State is the second suggestion. But I didn't think the First Amendment was the first suggestion. Now we have a Bill of Suggestions, not a Bill of Rights. I'm not okay with that. As a libertarian, we say something constantly. All of your rights, all of the time. All of your rights. See, he knows, he gets it, man. I'm bringing you everywhere I go. All of your rights, all of the time. They matter. Now, if you want to voluntarily give up some of your rights, no worries. You can. I did. I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17 years old. I gave up my ability to go around. I didn't have freedom of speech, didn't have freedom of movement. I gave it up. The government told me where to go when I went there. But I voluntarily decided to do that. If you want to give up your rights, no worries, as long as you decide. I don't decide. That's the critical piece. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Why do I talk about happiness? Because happy New Yorkers don't leave New York. Happy New Yorkers build their families and their businesses in this state. Happy New Yorkers don't commit crimes. Happy New Yorkers make for a better New York. We have lost over 2 million people out of this state in the last 11 years. All gone. You've all seen it. Every one of you in this room. What are there, 30 people in this room more? Am I guessing about right? 30 in this room, give or take? 30 people in this room. Every one of you knows someone that you care about who left. Every one of you. Yes, every one of you. Children, there we go. Yes, every one of you know. There's no doubt. Every room I go to, and again, I've been to every single county. Every room I go to, there was someone who knows someone who's left or is about to leave. Everyone. We can't even in this state retire. Then we said, Larry, you're saying all kind of bad stuff. You gave me policies on COVID. Thank you. How about policies going forward? How are you going to save this state, big talking guy? And I am a big talking guy. That's true. But I'm going to give you some. Thank you. This guy, you were all on me. Thank you. Yes, I'm going to give you some. I am going to give you some right now. Can you imagine? Right now in New York State, it is actually in our Constitution that education is a right. So we have to pay for education years 1 through 12. In our Constitution, we must do so. But it doesn't say we have to pay for it through property tax. It doesn't say that. What if instead we did something radical? Yes, I'm talking radical. What if we instead took that 60 or 70 billion dollars that it costs us to run our education every single year with a budget of about $215 billion, and we created a local currency in New York State? Larry, can you do that? Yes, you can. You can't create a currency that goes outside the state. That's against the law. But some states have their own currencies. Utah has their own currency. I think South Dakota, but one of those states has their own currency. Create our own currency based on either gold or cryptocurrency. Either one, whatever makes the most sense. We then take that amount of money, that's $60 billion, and we pay off all our education with that, directly from Albany. Directly from Albany. Now, why would anyone want to do that? Well, financial institutions will love that. Why? They get to transfer that into dollars for a small transaction fee. And what do bankers love? Two things. All bankers love two things. One, guaranteed government money. Boy, they love that. Second thing bankers love, small transaction fees for nothing. Boy, they love those two things. All bankers love that. So I'll give them that one. They can have it. They can make transaction fees and transfer it over. That takes $70 billion out of our budget. But more importantly, why do we need school tax then? School tax goes away. If school tax goes away, that cuts your property tax by about half, depending on where you live in our state, by about half. For some people more, some people less, depending on where you are in a state, but around half for everybody. Cuts your property tax in half. What does that do? Number one, retirees might stay in this state. And we have tons of retirees who are taking our pensions that we're paying for and spending those pensions in Florida, in Arizona, yes, North Carolina. Spend your pension here. Put your pension back into the state. You're going to spend it in my state. I'm not mad at you for leaving. I don't hate the player. I hate the game. We got a bad game. Change the game, we'll get better players. Do that, they'll stay. I'm still not done. It stabilizes or reduces all rents. So all those youngsters who are coming here trying to survive, they can actually pay the rent. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. On top of that, helps out commercial. Lowers commercial rent too. Now we have some business that might actually want to stay here. Not too shabby. But I'm still not done. It comes directly from Albany, which means it goes to each district, depending upon the kids who are in that district. What does that mean? The money follows the kid. The money follows the kid. And not just that, we changed the actual system. The system right now, those of you who know, if you don't spend your money, you lose it. It is literally a system that begs us to waste money. It begs us to. When I was in the Marine Corps, at the end of the fiscal year, which happened in October, those of you in the military, you know this. What do you do if you're on the ground side, not the air side, the ground side, and it's October? What do you do with all your ammunition? You blow it up. Yes, you do. You fire it all. You go outside, you just fire it all off. You fire all your ammunition, you fire it all off. If you don't use it, you lose it. Not just that, we used to break stuff. I'm not joking, we used to break stuff. If you're in the military, you know what I'm talking about. You have a budget for repair. So if stuff's not broken, you have to break it so you can keep your budget. We would go, back when I was in the 80s, we didn't have those cool glasses you have now for the night vision. We had to have actual goggles to put on back then. So we have to go outside with sledgehammers and break the night vision goggles. Yes, but to break them. That's your taxpayer money that I was breaking because I was ordered to break it. I was breaking it for you so you could pay me some more. That's what was happening. Yeah, but imagine if you got that money from Albany and if you didn't spend it, you just kept it for next year. You just saved it. And once that happens, you know what else happens? We don't need any federal funds. We don't need any extra state funds. So that strings attached from the federal government go away. Strings attached from the state government goes away. You won't know how they control us through the money. Do what we say or we don't fund you. What if I don't require your funding? You have no power over me. It ends the strings that come to our education. It allows you locally to fix your own education without strings attached. Imagine if you could actually change your education. No need for nationalized testing for kids who are 10, 11 years old. That goes away, you don't need it anymore. That's only to keep federal funds. That goes away. I don't want standardized testing for kids who are 10, 11 years old. What happens? And you guys have kids, you know this. Now you have a kid who's not a good test taker. So they don't do well on that test. What are they labeled? The dumb kid. They're labeled the dumb kid and treated as such. Well, standardized testing has no bearing on your success in life at all. I'm not making that up, do your own homework. That's actually true. There's no testing. There's one exception. I'm sorry, there's one exception. If you want to go into academia, if you want to be a professor, then that testing does show you can do well. If you're a good test taker, you can be a professor. So if you happen to want to be a college professor, you should care a lot about standardized testing. If you don't want to be a professor, you shouldn't care. It's not going to affect your life, good or bad, either way. End it. But I'm still not done. We have administrators across this state, tons of them, lots of them. The average teacher in our state makes about $80,000 a year, skewed by New York City, but about $80,000 is what an average teacher makes in New York State. The average administrator makes double that. Double that. Yes. Yes. There are administrators who make $300,000 or $400,000 a year. I'm not making those numbers up. You can check them yourself. $300,000 or $400,000 a year, and never come in contact with the student. In fact, they're in a building separate from the school. They're in a totally separate building separate from the school. What do they do? What do they do? They're bean counters for the state or federal. That's what they are. Once that goes away, the students go away, they're not required. Imagine if all of a sudden you could get rid of 4, 5, or 6 administrators in any given district. You could hire more teachers, build more schools, build a football field, I don't know, whatever you need. But you know who wouldn't decide that? Me or my cronies. We wouldn't decide that. You would. And if you mess up and you build a football field when you shouldn't build a football field, you'll learn your lesson. You have to save more money for next time. And hopefully the district next to you will go, that was dumb. We shouldn't do that. That I should learn from you. That'd be amazing. But here's how it works now. I have some cronies on my board of regents. The board of regents should go away. It has zero value in our state whatsoever. We should end it immediately. No value whatsoever. They have cronies and friends. And my friend right here, this guy right here, he runs a construction company and he builds football fields. You know what I think we should all be doing? Building football fields. What a coincidence that is. So all our taxpayer money goes to him so he can build football fields. That happens all the time. You all have seen it. You know how it works. But imagine if it didn't happen. It was just local. But Larry, there'd be some local corruption. Yes, there's some local corruption now. There is. It will happen. But guess what else will happen? The federal government will be out of it. But the state government will have one important rule. And one important role. I would like our governor to be more like a firefighter. Yeah, firefighter. When you're in trouble, you call, and the firefighter comes to help. I would like that. When the local people are somehow taking your rights or hurting your rights, you call the state government, and we come in and help. That's a good idea. Let's do that. That's way better. The goal of government should be to protect your rights, not to enforce its will upon you. We have to change that mindset, and we can. We can if we vote right. Now, some of you, I hope I was clear on some of those ideas, to get the concept of where I'm going with these things. I want to go one step further with education if I can. Right now, our education is K through 12. It should be K through 10. I'm very serious, K through 10. At 10th grade, you're 16, right? You take a test, you pass that test, there's your degree. But Larry, what about all those Regents diplomas? Completely useless, nobody cares. Nobody cares. We've been talking about Regents diplomas in high school for decades. They are useless, they mean nothing, they are stupid. I don't know why we do them. But here's what's never happened. Here's what has never happened. Oh, you're looking for a job? And check your resume. Whoa, New York State Regents diploma. You are hired. Never happened ever. Never happened ever. Never happened ever. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So instead, and there's literally billions of dollars being spent for these things. In administration fees, you all know, all types of fees and people, and they are literally useless. No, all they do is stress our kids even more. No value. 16, you get your degree. Now, when I was in Marine Corps, when I got out, they gave me a bunch of money to go to college. They said, here's X dollars. You got 10 years to go to college and use it. Good luck. I'm going to follow that model. Follow that model. New York State, when you're 16, you get $20,000 in your account to go to any school you want for 2 years. Whatever school you want. You're one of those geek kids who can take all the tests and do great. Go right to college. Go right and get a 2-year degree. Go get an associate's degree. You're that kid. I love it. You're a great academic. Awesome. Good for you. What if you're not that great, but you want to do something special? Great. Go to a special prep school. Go to a special prep school that'll set you up to go into design, or set you to go into science, go into doctor or lawyer, whatever. Go to that prep school. Set you up. You don't want any of those things. Great. Go to trade school. We need tradesmen so bad in this state. Oh my God. But why? You know this. If you've been in high school recently or seen it, find a guidance counselor who will tell you to go to trade school. Doesn't exist. They will all tell you, oh, don't go to BOCES, don't go to trade school. That's for the dumb kids. That's for the bad kids. That's what they all say, right? Oh, you're not, you know that. Yes, they all say that. That's what they say. Meanwhile, I can't get people to be tradesmen in this state, and we got to hire foreign labor because I can't find people in New York to do work. Not just that I got people, the average tradesman in New York State is 50. That's terrible. Look, I love my 50-year-olds. I'm over 50. I get it. But that should not be the average. The average should be 35. The average should be 35. And the 50-year-olds should not have the hammer in their hand anymore. They should be teaching others how to use the hammer. And they're not. They're using the hammer because there's no one else to hammer. There's no one else to hammer. And you can carry a hammer, but show others, Tim. Right? You should be training others to use that hammer, right?
I can do that.
Absolutely. And we're struggling for that. But why would they do that? Because they're mean? No. Because the federal government gives them money based upon two things and two things only. One, how many kids go to college? That's how they're judged. That's why they do that. That's how they get their money. That's how they're paid. As I said, I don't hate the player, I hate the game. Change the game. If the federal funds don't matter anymore, they'll stop doing that because there's no incentive to do it. They'll stop, no incentive. But second, scores on standardized testing. That's what they teach the test. You wonder, why don't they teach civics in my school anymore? Not in the test. That's why. Not in the test. You don't get paid for having good civics. You don't get paid for that. No incentive. Why would you? They don't. Why don't they have home ec or shop? Not in the test. Why would you? The incentive is to not do that. The incentive is to teach to the test. That's the incentive. Change the incentive. They'll stop doing that. All of a sudden now you can control your own school district. You want to teach civics? Go ahead. You don't? Don't. Guess who won't decide? The Board of Regents or me. The Board of Regents or me. We won't be deciding. You will. Whose phone is that? Oh, thank you. Yes. You won't be having me decide. Imagine if we change that. They may say, well, Larry, $20,000 is a lot of money. No, we drop $28,000 per kid per year in the state now. 28 grand per kid. I'm saying 10,000 for 2 years. We're saving 30 grand per kid. And some kids aren't going to use any of those. They're just going to go off and start businesses and such, or go to work. They're going to do that. They're not going to use any of stuff. They're 16 to go to work. We're going to save literally $6 to $8 billion every year with this plan. Easy. And watch a bunch of private schools open up. Larry, why are private schools going to open up? Because it's guaranteed government money. I mentioned that before, didn't I? Banks love that. They'll give loans. You're going to say, I want to open up a school that specializes in auto repair. Well, why would it give me the money? Because the government's going to give kids $20,000 to come to my school for 2 years. So what's your tuition going to cost? $20,000. Yeah. That's what I get from the government. I'm going to do that. So we save money. We get private schools. We basically just privatized the last 2 years of school. You can go to whatever school you want to now. Now, if you're a teacher, imagine this. You're a teacher now. Everyone in your school wants to be there. Think about that for a second. You're a teacher. Are you having problems with disciplinary issues? No. The rough kids who don't want to be in school, they're not in school. The kids don't feel like they're trapped. They're where they want to be. They chose the schools. What if the school's bad? What's a bad school? Terrible school. No one will go. No one will go. It'll have to get better, or no one will go to the school, because kids are picking the schools. Parents are picking the schools. You're picking your own school. Go where you want to go. You got 20 grand. Good luck. You make it happen. It'll change everything. These are the kind of policies I'm talking about. And note, no check was written, no force, less bureaucracy, saving money, no new taxes. In fact, you lost tax in that one. You lost your property tax, half your property tax. That's the kind of thing I talk about all the time. All right, last piece I'll bring up before I do questions. Thank you. Yes, last before I do questions. And that is, Larry, you want to run for governor again? You ran in 2018 and you didn't win. This is true. I didn't win. That's true. I crossed the state when I tried my best and I gave people ideas, and some of them listened and some of them didn't. But I'm considering something different this time. I am a proud libertarian. Wear it on my sleeve. I will run the libertarian line. Of course I will. Absolutely. Of course I will. New York State's special though. New York State has what's called fusion. Grab that. Thanks. So New York State has what's called fusion voting, which means you can be on multiple lines. So I can actually run another primary. I'm considering running in the Republican primary. So I'll be a libertarian, but I'll run in the Republican primary. Larry, why would you do that? Because one, I have more name recognition than any other Republican running across the state. Number one, that's the first thing. Everyone knows me. Whoever else is running, half people still don't even know who's running, who ran last time. They don't even know. Can any of you remember who ran last time as Republican? Yeah, some of you don't even know. Still don't know. Yeah, whatever, yeah. There we go. Now, oh, that guy, right. But you remember me, you don't remember him. Exactly my point. There we go, yes. You remember him, but you don't remember, you remember me, you don't remember him. Exactly. So that's number one. Number two, what if I win? If I win the Republican nomination, I get Libertarian line, Republican line, and the Conservative Party will give me the line also. I'll get 3. We can also get the Independence line. We'll have 4 lines. Whoever the Democrats put up, I'm assuming it'll be Tish James or Her Majesty Queen Hopeful, whoever it'll be one of those 2. They will only have 2 lines. We will have 4. We have a shot of actually taking the state back. We can actually take the state back. There's a chance back. And we go, but Larry, Republicans can win this state. You are fooling yourself. I'll be very full with you. You are fooling yourself. Republicans can win locally. They often do. Republicans win locally. Statewide, Republicans haven't won a statewide election in 20 years. And the state's getting bluer, not redder. The people leaving the state aren't Democrats. No. They're not Democrats. The people leaving the state are not Democrats. This state is 3-1 Democrat to Republican. And if your Republican leadership will tell you, we got to back our Republican guys so they can take back this state, he is either ignorant or he's lying to you. Never going to happen. But we got this great guy who's going to, you're fooling yourself. Never going to happen. Democrats are not going to vote for a Republican. Not going to happen. And they outgun Republicans 3-1. Well, wow, you saying Democrats will vote for a Libertarian? They already did. I have the data from 2018. They did. I'm not making that up. That's a fact. Democrats will vote for me. They will vote for me. If I get 25%, 30% of the Democrats, plus the independents and Republicans, I win this thing. So you as a Republican have two choices. Stay loyal to your party and vote for your guy or gal. Well, it's guy. Vote for your guy, right? And you'll lose again. You'll watch your friends leave, and you'll eventually leave. That's your option one. Option two, roll the dice on someone like me, because I can win. That's the option you have. And I'm okay with either. You pick whatever you think is appropriate. But that's what I think is going to happen. If you ask anybody who's running, what is their answer for New York? They don't have one. Republicans yell on how bad Cuomo was and how bad Hochul is. And they're right. I mean, I'm agreeing. They're right. Terrible. But that's not an answer. Democrats just go, COVID is bad. That's their entire thing. That's it. It's true. If you ask Kathy Hochul, I'm sorry, Her Majesty Queen Kathy, I apologize. Oh, hail the Queen. So if you ask her, she will tell you the number one thing that New Yorkers care about is COVID. Number one. I've crossed this state multiple times. Last year during COVID and this year during COVID, I have never heard that as number one. People care about COVID, and they should. It's real. You should care about it. Absolutely. It's real. You should care about it. Number one? No. Number one's always one or two things. Somehow education or somehow the economy. One of those two, in either one. And economy might mean taxes. It might mean jobs, something, and or education. Could mean college, could mean high school, or could be mandates that I hear in schools, right? Could be that too. But it's education or economy somehow. It's always number one, number two. COVID's always 3 or lower. I'm the one who can help fix things. I hope that was clear. Guys, thank you so much for hearing me talk. Thank you. So let me take, and I have one important rule when it comes to Q&A. No rules. Say whatever you want. You can even yell at me. People yell at me all the time. It's fine. I'll answer every question. Here's what I guarantee you. I will not dodge a question. You may not like my answer. That's sometimes true, but I will give you an answer. You go first. Go ahead. Term limits, yes. I am actually more concerned about term limits on a legislature. Yes. With the exception of someone who is so corrupt as Cuomo, he's the exception. Usually there is more corruption in the legislature than there is in the executive branch. However, Cuomo made that, he was the best at that. So he actually changed my mind on that. So I am totally fine with term limits on everybody, executives included, and also legislature. There should be term limits on everybody. Yes. Did I answer that question? Yeah. Awesome. Great. I'm sorry, some of you was first. Go ahead.
I heard you, but good regulation.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty close. Say again?
Socialism is not about control. Like
Correct.
Freedom. So anything that is not freedom is socialism or economy.
So let me touch that right now and be very clear. And this is a distinction that will make some of you, your heads want to explode. But I got to be very full with you. Some people don't want to be free. That's simply a fact that we should accept. Some people don't want to be free. I'm not mad at them for that. They don't want to be free. It's okay. My only issue is the same thing. Don't force me to not be free. If you want to not be free, no worries. If you want to follow whatever the government says, great, go follow it. No worries. Don't force me. That's my issue. I'm okay with people saying, no, I want to follow. Okay, that's on you. I'm all right with that. So I'm okay with voluntary socialism. Let me give you an example of that. What's voluntary socialism? I'm going to give you an example. Many socialists today They talk often about the idea, but we want to democratize the workforce, and we want to nationalize the banks, and we want to take over the banks, and we want to make sure that everybody, only worker co-ops exist, and all the corporatists get shot or put in prison or whatever, right? All that stuff. Here's what I'll give you. I'll give it to you voluntarily. If you're in New York State and you're in a county, I want to support counties starting their own credit unions. A credit union is basically co-op banking. What it is, it's people getting together and deciding to co-op bank. That's how you support your local communities, right? Local county has a co-op bank. That's what I like. Let's do that. Co-op banking, number one. We'll support it with insurance products, make sure we do it, and we'll keep all the federal hands off of these co-ops. You can do it if you want to. Note what that is. That's voluntary. If you want to do it, go on with your bad self and do it. Number one. Number two, say you get fired or get let go. New York State's going to give you unemployment. Generally speaking, about $13,000, give or take, is what you get around that time for 6 months. Give me 20, 30, or 40 people who are all getting fired or let go. I'll write you a check for the whole thing up front. The whole thing up front. You get $500,000, whatever that number is, up front. You get the whole thing. And I'll support your local credit union if it's in a county. Within one county is the rule. Within one county, you do it, they can back you for another $500,000 in that loan, as long as you start a worker co-op. What did I just do? I supported local. I supported individuals. People got fired. They can start a worker co-op if they want to, and it's voluntary, and there's no extra money out of my pocket. They may say, well, Larry, I don't like that because I'm a Republican, I'm conservative. Fine, don't do it. You're not paying any extra money. I'm not forcing you, but there are people who like co-ops. There are people who want to do that, who think worker co-ops are the answer to all our problems. Good, you can do it now. I allow them to do it. You might say, Larry, won't Democrats do that? They won't. No Democrats even talk about that. Only we do. Why? Because libertarians want you to be as conservative as you want to be, as liberal as you want to be. Just don't force your views on others. Don't make us pay for it. That's the only issue I have. Did I at least answer your question at least?
You did a great job.
Thank you. Please. Yes, and I think here's how you do it. It is very hard, you are correct. And you do it by slowly introducing community. What is government? Government is always two things. It's a monopoly and a jobs program. That's what it always is. As government moves in, community moves out. So here's the way we start doing this. I'm giving you policies that there's no tomorrow. Another policy. All right. You've got to give right now, you spend lots of money and send it over to Albany. What if, instead of doing that, you could take up to $250 instead of going to Albany and give it to any local nonprofit, any New York State nonprofit. If it's within your county, double to 500. This money you're gonna send to Albany anyway. So if you love your government, you think Albany's awesome, send your money to Albany. I don't mind, do it. You love government, I guess. Fine, no worries, do that. But let's say you think, you know what, my government's not doing a good job in certain things. And this guy right here, he's gonna fix our potholes. He wants to fix our potholes. He does. He told me he wants to fix them. Awesome. He wants to fix our potholes. You know what? So he could actually go and pitch to everybody and say, hey, can I get you $500, everybody, so I can go fix potholes? I know, because I knew you. So what does that mean? You guys can actually give him $500. You might go, well, that's $500. What if 1,000 people give him $500? Now it's $500,000. Now here's the best part. What if he does a terrible job fixing potholes? What happens? He's bad at this. He was scamming us all. He's a bad guy. He was scamming us all.
He's not a bad guy.
Just say. But what if he's bad? You know what happens? We don't give him the money anymore. He goes under. What if the government's bad at fixing potholes? We give it more money to fix more potholes. They get rewarded for their failure. Yes, he doesn't. But what if he's really good at fixing potholes? Then what happens? He gets more money. He can fix more potholes. Isn't that great? That's amazing. You fix more potholes. And the people who fix potholes, they don't get fired. They still have to fix potholes. But guess what's great? They get to fix more potholes than better ones because he's fixing a whole bunch of them. They do other things. And if he's really good, someone else will do it. Now he wants to fix potholes too. So we give him an opportunity to fix potholes also. Eventually, all our potholes getting fixed. We can now get rid of our government pothole fix. We can't. That is how we begin to become free. To be forward with you, the way we've lost our freedoms was not overnight. We lost our freedoms slowly over time. We can't take them back overnight. It doesn't work. People just can't handle it. We have to slowly bring it back, and we can. Got to start sometime. I'm saying start now. And you'll see people start to become better and better with it. Thank you. I'm sorry?
Is there an instruction program? Is there a method? Is there a way to show people that they're capable and confident of deciding their own destiny? Because most people, because of political correct, have had anything that could create freedom, cauterized, taken away.
Let me, you're right. Let me give you two things behind that. Number one, remember I told you the 4 things government does well? While that's bad, what's worse is what you just said. Not only is that bad, but what's worse is that most Americans think that's the only way to fix things. One of those 4 things. They expect it. And when they do one, they think we've solved the problem. We have a problem with violence. What should we do? More regulation on guns. Wow, now problem solved. Woo, problem solved. That's what people believe because it's one of those 4 things. In this case, add more regulation and put people in jail, right? Put people in jail, add regulation. That's correct, but we don't think that. We now think, well, now it's solved because government did one of the 4 things. I did 2 of them. It put people in jail and it made more regulations. Clearly, the problem is solved. That's your point. My friend, you're saying that we think that to change that. And what is that? What we're to do? We have to have executives who speak about it. Mayors, county executives, town supervisors, governors, presidents who speak like that. The press does not care if a congressperson or someone says that. Just don't listen. The press wants to hear executives say these things. And executives say these things constantly and change policy, it will change. So I got to keep going. I got people I want to talk to. Thank you. Libertarianism.com. Okay. I'm not joking. Okay. Libertarianism.com. You can also go to the Advocates for Self-Government or the advocates.org. Both of those will work. The advocates.org or you can go to libertarianism.com. Both will work. Yes. Let me grab, there's someone over here. Please, go ahead. Oh, pothole man. Love it. Yes.
What are you going to do about
Yes. Department of Motor Vehicles. Let me touch that. Correct. Department of Motor Vehicles. Let me give you 2 parts to fix that. Number 1, Department of Motor Vehicles is another one of those agencies that you have no recourse on. That has to end. And there are many of them. We do it constantly in New York State. We create commissions, committees, boards, all the time. And what those boards do is they allow people to just by edict make rules that we have no recourse. They take away responsibility from the people we voted for. So we can't do anything. Remember Cuomo, all the people who went to jail? Those all board members. Remember that? People of boards went to jail. Not him, because he's separate. I just appointed them. How would I know I'm innocent? That's what he does. He appoints people, no one's responsible. DMV is exactly that. We can make someone responsible for the DMV. Guess who? The governor, number 1. Number 2, why does only the DMV do what it does? Why can't we allow others to do it? Wait a minute, Larry, you mean like other private companies doing the DMV? Yeah, we do it already. Inspections. Inspections aren't done by the government. They're done by local shops who do inspections. They follow the government rules, do the inspection, pay the fee, whatever the fee is, and you get your inspection done, right? Why can't we have a 2nd or 3rd DMV? Why can't we have private companies doing DMV stuff? Follow the rules, like the inspections, and guess what will happen? You'll go to the better DMVs, won't you? You'll do it. You'll go to the ones that work. Whenever you create a secondary option to monopoly, government's monopoly, create an option, a community option. When you have a community option, one of 2 things happens. The government gets better or it goes away. Both are a good answer. So we create extra government options. You got a company who wants to do DMV stuff? All right, what county are you going to do it in? All right, let's do it. Set you up, give you the rules, regulations, go do it. Everyone goes to that one, the DMV has to get better, or it basically shuts down. I'm happy either way. Why wouldn't you do that? Does that answer your question? Here we go. Good.
There's a lot. Yeah, I mean,
Tell me what other variable you got. Give me one more.
well, we're having a statewide national Right.
Yep.
They have not made it very easy for the non-studious person to become qualified.
Yep.
And get stuff.
Yep.
And the number two, the sales tax on, a vehicle repetitious selling nonsense.
So let me touch two pieces. The first one, when it comes to CDL licensing, why in the world are we having government do it when insurance companies can? Right? Why should insurance companies do it? Literally insurance companies, they do it now. If you drive well, you get a discount on your insurance, they tell you to get classes, whatever. Why can't we have insurance companies do it? You can get an insurance company sponsored CDL. Insurance company wants you to get a license. Of course they do, because they're gonna insure you. So they will follow the right rules and regulations. Well, Larry, there'll be crazy people driving off the road. Well, the insurance companies will be paying billions of dollars. So why would they do that? They're not gonna care if you study or don't study. They're gonna care if you ride off the road and make them pay money. So if you're a good driver, you get your license. How do we know that? It already happens. That's what happens now with insurance companies. We follow the same model. So why is DMV even involved? Rubber stamp? I'm okay with that. Did I answer your question? Awesome. Thank you. You had one. Are you in the back? So you have you. Yes. I'm sorry. What about tell me about sales tax? Yes. Sales tax in general has to be dealt with in many ways. That's really a hard one for me to handle right now. Well, because sales tax is depending on state, depending on county, city. Let me look into the sales tax. Let me look into that. I will. I literally have a team. They're watching right now. They're hearing what we're talking about. I'll have a policy very soon. Go ahead, please.
You were talking about the women's school.
Yes.
Let's look at the problem.
Yes.
Will the state, would you make it uniform across the state, property tax foreclosure laws, stop allowing these counties to do property by bending the
Yes. So let me do two things, right? The way you stop this type of thing, the way you end it, is by capping how much money a given municipality or county can take. Because the problem is we wind up using other things as profit centers. Police force as profit centers, law enforcement as profit center, confiscation as profit centers, civil asset forfeiture as profit centers, right? You do it very simply. You say, you know what? County or municipality, you may only take $10,000 from any property that you ever seize, period, across the entire year. Across the year, you may only take $10,000. That's it. So if you seize $40 million in properties, you get $10,000. That's all you get. Once you do that, they would only seize the property if there's an actual problem or issue of concern. It takes the incentive away for them to seize property. So not just do it also with tickets. All the tickets out there, you see them out there cutting tickets. Make a very rule, a specific rule. Municipality, you may only take $1,000, $10,000 per year against all fines and fees. That's all you can take. After that, you get nothing. So what would cops be doing? What cops would be doing is giving you tickets because they're worried about you, because you're a menace. This is a problem. Doing what they should be doing. I want cops getting menaces. That's a good idea. I don't want them in speed traps just having to make cash because their bosses get mad at them. I don't want that. I want cops going after bad guys, not just random people to make their numbers. I don't want inspectors getting cash just because they got to make their numbers. I don't want counties seizing things just to make numbers. Larry, how do we make all that money? This is why you notice when I said property tax goes away, right, and the budget goes down, I didn't say I was going to personally lower taxes. So the counties will have a surplus. My goal is to create surpluses in counties. If you create surpluses in counties, they won't have to do that anymore. If we don't have, the problem we have also, you know this, we have unfunded mandates from the state that all of a sudden the county now has 80 or 90% of their budget already set up. They can't make any money. Imagine if you had no unfunded mandates. None. No unfunded mandates, such a budget at zero, and caps on what you can take when you're robbing your citizens. Changes everything. And I would ask you, again, I'm also about the same thing. Change the game. Don't ban player. No new taxes. No force. Everything I just told you, none of it had any of those things. You change that, everything changes. Now I ask you, has any other candidate told you any of this? No.
Does that come
No.
from DOT as well?
Why not?
Department of Health?
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't it? Now, to be fair with you, Larry, can you change all this overnight? No. No, I can't change it overnight. Can I begin the process right away? Yes. Will I get a couple of them done in the first couple of years? Yes, absolutely. But more importantly, will I change the culture? And to your point, sir, will I get people believing it can be done? Yes. And you will watch others begin to do that. That's good piece. But I'm still not done. I got to go a little bit further if I can. We have to have a situation where we don't have unfunded mandates, which means Medicaid, Medicare got to get paid for. Got to get paid for. We got to do Medicaid, Medicare. We have to. It's a huge chunk of our budget. We can take care of that next by creating a fund. A lot of countries do it already. Singapore does it. Norway does it. Massive funds that pay for all their issues. Why don't we have a fund? We should have one. We do it either by leasing out rights to our infrastructure as well as our land. We have over 4 million square miles of land that the state has. Either leasing that out and our infrastructure to create a fund, and or, which drives some of you crazy, nuclear power plants in the North Country. Why can't we build a nuclear power plant, 2 or 3 of the North Country? Sell that energy instead of us buying energy every year, which is what we do. Sell it off instead, take the extra money that we get, put it into a fund. Have a nice big fund. If that fund does well, what does it do? It pays for all the Social Security and the Medicaid, Medicare that we have in our counties. You get rid of that, you will drop our budget from about $215 billion to somewhere around $80, $90 billion, lower than Florida. If you do that, we can end the state income tax. We can actually end the state income tax. Because Florida has more people than us and no state income tax. So we could copy that model. Now that'll probably take 4 years or so. It'll take some time, probably 4 years or so. It'll take time to do that, to make that actually happen. But on top of that, we've got to negotiate the pensions out of our budget, which is another big chunk of our budget too. Pensions, by the way, if you guys don't know this, are going to go away. They're unsustainable. We have pensions which are now over 15% of our budget, and our budget keeps going up. People keep leaving New York State, yet we still keep having to pay more taxes. Our budget goes up, and too many people are leaving our state and they're spending their pensions in other states, so we can't even get our money back here. We have to make many changes. That also will take several years to negotiate pensions out of the budget into actual realistically where people who are joining unions, if you're tier 6 now, are you really even in a union? Are you really getting any benefit? Not really at tier 6. So why would you even do so? We've got to make those changes. We can do them. And I would ask you, who's talking about that? Only me. That's it. With me. Go ahead, please.
Add to what Tim said. What happens to us, 80 and above?
Yep.
Okay. We sold our home.
Yep.
Because.
Yep. I'm glad you're still here. Thank you.
Hard.
Yep.
So we went into the apartment.
Yep.
Now the apartment is more and more expensive.
Yep.
And we have no seat accommodation. And
Yep.
people are begging to find what they can't find.
Yep. Let me give you 2 pieces of that. Number one, as I mentioned, we reduce the property tax by half. That also affects commercial, which stabilizes or lowers rents by default, right? So automatically that immediately happens. It lowers or stabilizes rents, so your rent shouldn't be going up anymore. It should go down or at least stabilize, number one. But number 2, what if you think you need some special situations like senior homes, senior living centers, something like that. That's the whole point of the $500 per year piece. That's the whole point, because Tim will build one for you. Tim will build one for you. And when he builds one, and he'll fix the potholes. That's exactly right. Tim will build one for you. We can build those out with community. We absolutely can do that. Of course we could. Yes. But I'll go one step further. What if you instead decided to use public housing? And with public housing, instead of it being the way it is now, which we often pay people's rents, do other things, instead, we allowed everyone in public housing to buy their own home. We give them a chance to rent to own. Everyone gets a rent to own. Why? Because you change your mindset to an ownership mindset. It allows you to purchase your property. It allows you to sell your property. It allows you to gain equity. There's something else. It keeps, well, you guys may not know this, permanent money. Big money is buying up a lot of properties. BlackRock and all those, KKR, all those doing it, right? But if all of a sudden you can now buy your own, you can stop that if you want. You can stop that if you want to. And once that works, it's something very simple. We do a thing that happens right now in the Bronx. Everything I tell you about is based upon a model that already exists. And that is you ask people to create a home. And you ask a company to sponsor it. Home Depot, Best Buy, McDonald's, I don't care. You Pepsi, Google, you pick. They sponsor a home. And the home is for a specific type of person. Maybe it's disabled vets. Maybe it's elderly. Maybe it's people who are homeless. You pick whatever is the thing. And the rule is that those people have to pay a percentage of their income. That's it. Whatever their income is, they pay a percentage of it, whatever that is. Say 25%. If you make $1,000 a year, $20 a year is what you pay. You pay a percentage of your income, allowing anyone who wants to move in there to move in there. If you're in trouble, you're not making much money. Maybe you're a single parent. Maybe you're recently divorced. Maybe you're now retired. You're not making that much cash. Can you afford 25% of your income to be your rent? If you can, move to one of those. What happens? The rent you get goes to that company because they did it, but they get your name on the building. They get their name and they get their brand. See, we care about insert people here. It's their building. Larry, will they do that? They're already doing it in the Bronx now. That's happening in the Bronx now. So yes, they'll do it. We can encourage that also. Why wouldn't we? So now, no matter what you're making, you can go move into that place. You have a place to live for 25% of whatever you're making. People can handle that. Does that make sense? That's happening now. Did I answer your question? Excellent. Thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry, no, you already went once. Go ahead. I don't know what you. Oh, yes, okay. Let me cover all the mandates. I'm against all the mandates, all of them, all the mandates. As I said, I am pro consent. Please do what you feel is right for your life, your family, your health. Please, whatever that is, please do that. I don't care about this. It doesn't matter. What matters is I should not be telling you what you inject in your body, period. And let's do this for the long term. Let's assume for a moment, one of the three things is true. Either the vaccines are amazing, awesome, and they're going to save the world, or two, they're okay, like normal stuff, they're fine, or three, they don't work. They're not that good. One of those three things is true. In either case, let's say the vaccines are the awesomest thing in the world, they're going to save the world, they're amazingly awesome, great. Now you're forcing people to take it. They're not going to want to take it. And when the next virus comes, that may be even worse than this one, people aren't going to take it. You've taught people to not trust you. Think about this. There are tons of healthcare workers who are not getting vaccinated. And all we do is punish them and yell at them. We don't ask the most important question. Why don't they trust the system that they're a part of? That's the most important question. Why don't they trust a system that they are part of?
Because they're
Maybe, I don't know, but we're not asking that question. So my point also was the same piece. Why in the world would I want to make people hate the system more if it's the best vaccine, or if it's true? What if the vaccine is just mediocre? Why am I fighting on this hill? Why am I being so harsh to people if it's just mediocre? What value is this? What if it's not that good at all? Well, then how horrible am I to force the vaccine, right? Either way, regardless of how good or awesome the vaccine is, force is not the answer. Libertarians have a saying, good ideas don't require force. That's what we believe in. So no to that. Does that make sense? Period. No to that. You can tell me, well, the Supreme Court said lots of stuff. Supreme Court says corporations are people. I don't remember that being true, but it is now because Supreme Court says so. Supreme Court says lots of stuff, and they're wrong too. They're just humans, and they're wrong on that. Does that answer? Awesome. Go ahead.
So the election's held, and you win.
Yeah. Hope so.
Now you go all.
Yep.
How do you take on that thing?
100%. Let me explain that real fast. When I win, like you said, I win, and all of a sudden now I'm in Albany. Here's what's actually going to happen. A bunch of people are going to become libertarians. I'm not joking. A bunch are. Many of them already want to be libertarians, but we don't have victories. We don't have wins. They don't do that. There are a whole bunch of people right now who, I can't tell you who because they want me to tell you, but they are elected officials, many of them Republican, who really want me to run because they're unhappy with the Republican Party. They believe it's not doing anything in the state right now. They think it's failing miserably, and they would love for me to step up and revitalize. So they want me to, and I get that. But all of a sudden, my people who turn libertarian. Well, Larry, you're not going to have a majority. I don't have to have a majority. I just have to have enough to be the swing vote. If I had 3 libertarians in the Senate, I control the Senate. If I have about 20 people in the assembly, I control the assembly. That's how we get things done. That's number 1. Number 2, second piece. The second piece is, if you've noticed, I talk about helping out banks often or landowners often. Why? The top 2 lobbyists in this state are finance and real estate. That means all these people in the Assembly and Senate are getting their money from these 2 lobbyists. If I keep them happy, they keep me happy. I got one more, third one. I've already said this. Right now, our governor has, I believe, 2 aircraft. I think one's a plane and one's a helicopter or something like big helicopter, whatever it is. I'm going to sell one of them, and I'm going to get a bus. And with that bus, I'm going to drive around this state. I'm going to run the government out of this bus so that I can physically be in other counties. Why? Because your point's a valid one. If I don't have you, the people, putting pressure on those people in Albany, I can't do anything. You are correct. I've thought of this. Those are my 3 pieces that I will do to move things forward. 1, I'll have some libertarians who will join my side. 2, I will keep some lobbyists happy who will lobby them. And 3, I will be in your backyard bugging you saying, tell your guy to do the right thing. Did I answer your question at least? Awesome.
What do we do about these land banks that are working within the county? You've got county board members, land banks, county. Let that same board members voting to take these properties, land bank over here, making money.
Oh, sorry, Tim's got something to say. Tim.
We elect guys like Brian Russo, who's been endorsed by the Otsego County Libertarian Party, who will go and fight these corrupt clowns that are not doing the job in Otsego County. That's what we do.
Yeah.
One of the things that we can do this year.
There we go. So let me give you my answer. With that, yes, elect the right people. He's correct, Tim's correct. Yes. But on top of that, I want to have an office of transparency. We don't have that now. An office of transparency means every time something goes wrong and you're unhappy, you send it to my office of transparency. And they investigate and see what's going on. And they show transparency. And they tell everybody what's happening. Look at this. Here's what you have. Right now, the average person has no idea what you're talking about. The average person across New York State doesn't even know what you're talking about. Has no idea what you're talking about. No clue what you're talking about. But imagine if they did. Imagine there was an office that would say, look at this corruption happening right here in this county. Look at what's going on. The people to be forward with you. And it's going to make some of you upset, but I'll be very forward. Most of our local people, we have trained them to be tyrants. So they are. We've trained them to be corrupt. So they are. One of the reasons why is because there's no money in the county because of unfunded mandates. So you have to find other ways to grift and make money. So they do that. And most of us, because of things being done, we don't go correct them. When we do go correct them, they get angry. And the lockdowns in the schools, boy, that actually happens to be a silver lining within all the COVID lockdowns and the school stuff, is that actually local people started caring about what's happening in schools. And they showed up at the school boards. What do school boards do? They were angry. Why wouldn't they? They've been kings for decades. They've been monarchs for decades. So we let them be monarchs and make edicts and run things for decades. And now we show up and go, what do you do with my kid? And they go, why are these peasants in my room? I'm the king. That's exactly what they do. These peasants in my room, don't they know that I rule them with an iron fist? That because we've allowed them to do that for years. We have to stop them. This goes back to the idea about a government. State government's job should not be to assist and ensure that corruption keeps going. What state government's job should do is to step in when someone is taking away your rights. That's what we should be doing. all of those economic development councils and all of those IDAs, all of them should go away. None of them have any value. They should all go away. They are simply petri dishes of corruption. That is what they are. They are ways that makes people just, we're begging them to be corrupt, so they are corrupt. End that system, you end that corruption. Did I at least answer your question? Awesome. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for today. Thank you for coming so much. Thank you all for watching. Thank you very much.